Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. It is Tuesday morning, obviously after the bank holiday. I hope you all have had a fantastic weekend, a fantastic bank holiday weekend. And here's me sitting there yesterday thinking we can come on today, we can talk a little bit maybe about Ben Godfrey, maybe about James Rodriguez, have a little bit of a chilled stream, just talking about last season and some of the players that personally impressed me and I think had fantastic seasons. And then obviously, you know, we're getting along with our bank holiday Monday, whatever we were doing, whether we went to the beach. The weather was absolutely lovely over here in Liverpool. The sun was shining, it was boss, it was gorgeous. And then obviously we get into last night and all of a sudden these rumours start flying left, right and centre from out of nowhere, from Spanish press really linking Carlo Ancelotti with a move back to Real Madrid. Now there was actual rumours linking Carlo Ancelotti with a move back to Real Madrid a couple of weeks ago. I think it's before the Wolves game, and Carlo addressed these in a press conference and said that as much as it's flattering for him, it's not true and he's happy where he is. But of course, you know, with the manager merry-go-round that's currently going on in European football, with managers leaving clubs left, right and centre, you had Juventus looking for a new manager, obviously Conte's left Milan, into Milan, you know, Zidane's left Real Madrid, so they're looking for a new manager, and there's just, you know, rumours left, right and centre, isn't he, really, about who's going to go to Real Madrid, who will go to Juventus, who's going to go to Inter Milan, and of course Carlo Ancelotti's name has been thrown in the hat, and you know, Carlo was really heavily linked with Real Madrid yesterday, according to a lot of Spanish you know, media outlets and Spanish press. Now before we get into any of this and before I give my opinion on any of this, I can't be certain that Carlo Ancelotti won't go back to Real Madrid. As much as I might sit here today during the stream and say that I don't think it will happen for this reason and that reason and that reason, and I don't think that, you know, I don't think Carlo would want to go back for this reason, that reason, I can't sit here and definitively say Carlo Ancelotti won't return to Real Madrid. And I won't say that. I won't say it because I know if it does happen, then people will come to me and go, well, you said it wasn't going to happen, Cam. You said that, you know, he wasn't likely to go back to Real Madrid. Carlo Ancelotti, for all I know, could turn around and go, actually, do you know what? This is a way out of a football club that I'm currently managing that, let's be honest, are quite bad. You know, the players are quite bad and it's not going to change anytime soon. I don't think Carlo Ancelotti does want a way out of Everton. I don't think Carlo Ancelotti does want to leave before he's sort of solidified us. He said on a number of times before, he likes the project. He likes the fact that he's got another, 2, 3, 4 years, even if not more, to build this team into what Everton want it to be, or certainly what Everton are telling us they want it to be anyway. So I don't think he would leave that, but for all we know, Carlo might be turning around saying, actually, do you know what? For the sake of going over to Real Madrid for a year, I'll get paid a crap load of money. Whether he get paid as much as he's getting paid at Everton, I don't know. And I'll be able to go and manage one of the best teams and one of the biggest clubs in the world again. Now, you know, obviously there's a lot of negatives from our side of that. We don't want Carlo Ancelotti to leave. He'd be under much more pressure at Real Madrid than he is at Everton, because let's be honest, he's not under any pressure at Everton. We might sit here and criticise his decisions. We might sit here and criticise some of the substitutions he makes. But let's be honest, in regards to, you know, the board and his position as manager, he's not under any pressure whatsoever. He's getting paid £11 million a year, I believe, at Everton Football Club. I don't think he'd get paid that at Real Madrid, and even if he did get paid that, I honestly don't think he'd last more than a year. I think he'd get a year's contract, and if he lasted that year, I'd be very surprised, because Real Madrid are notorious for just chopping and changing managers when they feel like. And Carlo will know that. Carlo will understand that he's been Real Madrid manager before. He's won Champions Leagues at Real Madrid, and then they've sacked him, you know, following that, because they haven't been happy with something else at the club or whatever. So I must say, before we get into any of this, that I can't definitively sit here and say that Carlo Ancelotti won't rejoin Real Madrid and won't leave Everton, because I don't know that. Do I think it'll happen? In my personal opinion, no. I'm slightly worried. I am a little bit worried, to be honest with you, and I'm worried for one reason and one big reason only, and that is that Real Madrid typically get what they want. Florentino Perez, with the exception of the Super League, typically gets what he wants whenever and wherever he wants it. You know, he gets it, and I do think that Carlo Ancelotti will be a name on that list for Real Madrid. I think he'll be a short-term option. He'd come in for whatever it might be, a year, 18 months, he'd probably solidify them a little bit. He'd get them into a situation where they probably won the league next season. They didn't miss out by much this season, so he'd probably get them into a situation where they won the league next season, and then they'd move him on and bring in somebody else to rebuild the football club. But he'd just be there ultimately to stabilise the football club. And like I said, I assume there's a lot of names on Real Madrid's list. We've seen Conte linked yesterday as well. Raul, of course, ex-Real Madrid player linked. You have various managers that have been linked with this job, and that's because Real Madrid will be interested in various managers. Now, some of the rumours that we read last night, which we'll go through, I don't particularly believe, because they're talking about Carlo Ancelotti being available for the Real Madrid job. Well, he's not available for the Real Madrid job, is he? Because he's managing Everton Football Club and he's still contracted for another 3 years at Everton Football Club, so he's not available whatsoever. But there's others that say that they're interested. That there's a couple of rumours that say talks have begun between Carlo Ancelotti and Real Madrid, and it's worrying. It is massively worrying, because when you look at the clubs, and I love Everton Football Club, and I think Everton Football Club are the best club in the world, but in terms of global brand and global size, we can't compete with Real Madrid. We honestly can't compete with Real Madrid. They are on another planet. For as much as they might be an aging team and they mightn't be great at the moment, and they might be a team that need a massive rebuild, a little bit like ourselves, in terms of their global brand and their the pull that football club has, Everton simply can't compete with that. Now, I don't want Carlo Ancelotti to leave, of course I don't. Nobody wants Carlo Ancelotti to leave, and it's a weird situation. It's a really weird circumstance, because if Everton would have finished 5th or 4th or 2nd or challenged for the league last season, and then Real Madrid will have come in for Carlo, we'd all be sitting here saying, they've come in for him because he's had a fantastic, season at Everton Football Club, and ultimately, they want to bring him back in to stabilise their club, and we can't lose him because he's improved us drastically. I do think Carlo's improved us drastically, but Everton finished 10th last season, and there was some Evertonians on Twitter yesterday saying, we finished 10th, what's the big deal? If he goes, you move on, you get somebody else. And as much as I do sort of see that, I also see what Carlo Ancelotti's trying to build and do at Everton Football Club, and I really, really don't want him to leave. I don't, but there is that, I think, sort of overriding worry that Real Madrid are very much a club that, let's be honest, Florentino Perez will spit his dummy out, and if he wants it, he'll get it. And that's what really worries me. I personally don't think it'll happen, but ultimately, again, it's a bit worrying. It is a bit worrying, especially last night when you're just trying to sit down and chill and enjoy your night, and then all of a sudden these rumours are flying in left, right and centre about Carlo potentially wanting to rejoin Real Madrid and this, that and the other. If it happens, it's obviously it's not the end of the world, we move on, but let's be honest, we don't want it to happen, do we? Even I seen even the fans that have criticised Ancelotti last night. I've criticised Ancelotti throughout last season. Doesn't mean we want him to move on, doesn't mean we want him to leave and go back to Real Madrid, but is it a possible outcome? Well, let's ask ourselves this: if we weren't an Everton fan, if we hadn't grown up supporting this football club, if we weren't brought into life with the sole purpose of following our football club, let's say I managed, or Niall, or Jason, or Moslin in the comments, and we will get in the live comments shortly. By the way, if you're enjoying this one, please do hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, don't forget to follow us on all of our social media, share the stream. But if we were anyone in the comments, and let's say I managed Charlton Athletic, something like that, and I'd come into Charlton, and I'd done a decent job in my first season, and then, I don't know, Bayern Munich wanted me. Would you blame me for leaving for Bayern Munich? Would anybody blame Carlo Ancelotti for going to Real Madrid? I don't know, and that's the worry, isn't it? Is that Real Madrid clearly want Carlo Ancelotti, and he's clearly a name on the list. We don't know at this current moment how Carlo Ancelotti is feeling. We know what he felt 2 weeks ago, which was that, he's happy to stay in and he doesn't want to move, which is fine, but a lot can change in 2 weeks. A lot can change in football in 2 weeks. If Real Madrid are serious, he might have said, actually, I need to have a think about this. So it really is. It's a difficult one. It is, and it's a worrying one. It is. Let's get into the rumours anyway, and right into it. Like I said, ultimately, again, I didn't really want to be particularly talking about this today, but it'd be silly of me to just completely overlook it, wouldn't it? It'd be silly of us to sit here on a live stream and just talk about, something else and not even mention these rumours, because it's massive and it was everywhere. So it started couple of weeks ago. Now I don't know any of these sources I'm about to mention, by the way. They're all Spanish media sources. I don't know how reliable they are. I'm not going to come on here and sit here and say this source is the most unreliable source ever. They're not credible. They're not reliable whatsoever. And then it happened, and then everyone come on to me and go, hang on, what's going on here? You know, you said it wasn't going to happen. You said they weren't reliable, and so I can't really determine the reliability of any of these sources I'm about to mention because I don't know myself. It could be somebody in their mum's bedroom completely making something up for the sake of getting a few clicks, or it could be somebody that's, you know, close to Real Madrid and close to Carlo Ancelotti who actually have credible information. So I don't know, but it first come from El Laguero, who I think, from what I can gauge, are a Spanish sort of radio station publication. I'm not going to compare them to anybody because I don't know, but just from their profile, listen to all of our content on elaguero.com. So a Spanish radio station from what I can gauge, and they said that Real Madrid are considering Carlo Ancelotti as the club's new manager. Now that was about 8:25, something like that. It then all went sort of left, right, and centre, quite quickly, really, and then loads of people started jumping on it. Loads of people. The next one is from La Se, who again, I believe, are a Spanish radio station, and they have said that Real Madrid opened talks with Carlo Ancelotti 4 days ago. Everton have already started looking for a replacement if he decides to join Real Madrid. We then had Calcio Mercato, who, again, I'm not going to put a label on their reliability, but they linked Everton with Pedro yesterday, and I really can't see Carlo Ancelotti or Marcel Brands wanting to sign Pedro. So again, make of that what you will. Calcio Mercato constantly are linking Everton with players throughout the last however many summer transfer windows that we don't end up signing. So there you go. But they said that first contact between Florentino Perez and Carlo Ancelotti was 2 weeks ago. It is believed that Ancelotti has given full availability to his return to Madrid and is ready to leave Everton. Again, I don't understand how, because he let's be honest, he's contracted to Everton for another 3 or 4 years, so how can he give full availability? He isn't in a position to do that, and I don't think he's the type of manager to do that. We then add El Chiringuito TV, who linked Everton with a move for Gareth Bale a couple of weeks ago. They said that Real Madrid are interested in Carlo Ancelotti as well. Lasse then come up and said that sources closer to negotiations between Carlo Ancelotti and Real Madrid are very optimistic that it would happen, of course. And then various other rumours left, right and centre throughout the night. There was then a rumour from another publication, Diario AS, who, again, 2.7 million followers, Spanish source, who said that Antonio Conte's option is almost disregarded. The club is waiting for Pochettino, while Raul is plan B. So that would then assume that Carlo Ancelotti isn't even plan B for Real Madrid. That's Raul. But then there was other sources saying that that Real Madrid are wanting a more experienced manager, and therefore Raul isn't on the list. So basically, at the moment, we don't really know what's going on, and I think this is what. And I said before, this is what Florentino Perez and Real Madrid are very, very good at. They'll just put the idea out there to bring in any manager. Now, Carlo Ancelotti, is there a possibility that he'd go to Real Madrid? Of course there is. I don't think he will, but is there a possibility that he will? Of course there's a possibility that he will. I can't sit here and say he definitely won't go, and I'm not prepared to sit here and say that, because again, I've got no faith in football or football managers. I'd love to sit here and say, yeah, but what Carlo said 2 weeks ago, he'll still mean that to this day. But again, we spoke last week about transfers and about how players can literally be in a room to sign for one club, get a phone call saying they're going to get £10,000 extra a week from another club, and leave the room and go and sign for another club. There's no loyalty in football anymore. There's no trust. There's no faith in football or even football managers, and I've seen it a number of times before, so I'm not willing to sit here and say, yeah, it'll absolutely never happen. Do I personally think he'll go? No, I don't. And I do think that this is Florentino Perez and Real Madrid sort of trying to put the thought out there of Carlo Ancelotti and various other managers. Like I've just said, this same situation happened with Antonio Conte a couple of days ago. It was that Antonio Conte is ready to join Real Madrid. It was the same, with a couple of other managers throughout last week. So I do think that this is purely Real Madrid throwing every name out there, and it'll probably be someone else today. It'll probably be someone else tomorrow. But nevertheless, it's still worrying, isn't it? Let's be honest. We can't sit here and say, oh yeah, I can't laugh it off because this is Real Madrid, one of the biggest clubs in world football, marketing wise and in terms of global brand size. Some would argue the biggest club in world football, so you can't just say, oh yeah, they're after our manager, yeah, he'll never go there. You can't say that. Anyway, this is what Carlo Ancelotti said 2 weeks ago. So this was on the 18th of May. I retweeted it yesterday, 19 days ago it was. A lot of people on social media in the Twitter saying 13 days is a long time in football. This is 19 days ago, has no bearing on what's happening at the moment. So there you go. Things can change, by the way. So when I'm reading this quote, please just remember that this is from 3 weeks ago when the rumours were first sort of popping up, and it was only a rumour that Real Madrid may be interested in going back in for Ancelotti rather than in talks with him. So please bear that in mind. This was in Carlo Ancelotti's pre-game press conference prior to the game against Wolves, I believe. Last home game of the season, penultimate game of the season. And he said, Carlo Ancelotti had said at that point that about the links to Real Madrid at that point, that this is good publicity for me to be linked with Real Madrid, but it is not true. I am really happy to stay here. We have difficulties, of course, but I feel good at Everton, and my target is to make Everton better and better every year. Now, I completely agree with those people in the comments of that tweet saying this was 19, 20 days ago, whatever, 2 weeks ago. A lot of things can change in football in that period of time. I understand that. And bearing in mind, like I said, when Carlo Ancelotti had come out and said that, there wasn't links as to state that he was in talks with Real Madrid or that negotiations were going well. The links were purely that Real Madrid may be interested in going back in for him, and then he come out and said that. Like I said, a lot of things can change in football in the space of a couple of weeks. But ultimately, Carlo Ancelotti, I think, will look at this situation and think, right, okay, I've got a project at Everton. I've got a plan that when I come in last December, or the December before last, should I say, that I was told and I was given the backing of the football club that I'd be able to spend what I wanted and what I needed to spend. I would have freedom of having 2, 3, 4 years without being, sacked or being put under any real pressure by the board, even during the tough times. I think we all deep down knew, right, again, you're going to go through these times. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I really, really, really hate when you bring a new manager in. Everton have done it a number of times over the years since David Moise has left. You bring a new manager in, and I'm not saying that these managers I'm about to mention shouldn't have been sacked or didn't deserve to be sacked, but I hate when you get 18 months into a new manager, you sack them because they're not very good, and then you go back to that first year, and then you get the same spiel from the club. Oh, it's a project. It's going to take 4 or 5 years before we really see any improvement. And then we all say, yeah, fine, it's a project, 4 or 5 years. I agree with that. You can't change things overnight. 12, 18 months in, that manager gets sacked because they're not good enough. Back to square one. It's a project. It's going to take 4 or 5 years. Yet sound brilliant, blah, blah, blah. 12 months on, that manager gets sacked. Back to square one. It's a project. It's going to take 4 or 5 years. I can't be bothered going back on it. I cannot be bothered going back to square one where it's a project and it's going to take 4 or 5 years. I can't be doing it anymore. And look, if Carlo Ancelotti wants to leave and Everton give him permission to leave and he walks on his own sort of his own mind, then there's not much we can do about that, is there? So we would go back to square one, and there's not much we can do about it. But that's what I think is a key thing with this situation, is that Carlo Ancelotti will know that he's not going to get sacked as Everton manager unless something drastic goes wrong and he will end up in a relegation fight next season or something ridiculous. He's not likely to be sacked. He's likely to be given the entire length of his contract to sort the club out, and rightly so as well, because he's one of the the best and biggest managers in the history of the sport. So he should be given as much time as he as much time as he can to sort this football club out. And if that's 3-4 years of his contract, then so be it. Carlo's come out before, by the way, on a number of occasions, completely separate to this situation, and said how much he wants to stay at Everton beyond his contract, how honoured he'd be to stay here for another 3, 4, 5 years after the contract ends, and he loves it here and he loves the city, and it's exactly where he wants to be, and it's chilled, and it's it's a lot less hectic, and it suits his lifestyle at the moment. That's something really, really interesting. I think that Carlo will be ultimately, if he is contemplating the Real Madrid job, he'll also be contemplating, do I want to move back to Madrid, a massive city where you're in the limelight and you're in the, like I said, Real Madrid managers, because of the size of that football club and because of the demand of that football club, Carlo wouldn't go to Real Madrid with the promise that, there'd be no pressure on him and he'd be alright and he'd have 18 months or 2 years with no pressure and he'd have all the resources he'd need. He'd go to Real Madrid, they'd say, right, this is the budget, which would probably be, quite a low budget because the club's in absolute disarray in terms of financial situation at the moment. This is our budget, £30 million. We want you to win the league and get to a Champions League final or win it next season. And if you don't, you're going. And if you lose the first 5 games of the season, the Spanish press and the Spanish media will be on you like a flock, because they're notorious for that. Getting on you, putting the pressure on you, and putting those sorts of feelings out there. Is he good enough? Will he leave? Is he, this, that, and the other? It's not an easy lifestyle in Spain. It's not. Real Madrid isn't a job that Carlo will go to and go, right, okay, I've got 12 months here where I know that nothing's going to happen. I know I'm not going to be under any pressure. I know I've got the time and I've got the facilities to put in place what I need to do to work. Carlo knows that if he goes to Real Madrid, the benefits he'd get would be that he'd be at a massive football club. He'd be able to work with good players, really good players, better players than he's working with at Everton, let's be honest. And he'd probably get a shitload of money still. But the negatives would be he'd be under pressure every week if he didn't perform. Certainly if Real Madrid had a season like Everton have just had, even though we can sit here and say it wasn't good enough, but we want to stick with Carlo because we can see where the future's going to go and we can see the plan and what he wants to do. He'd be gone after 12 months at Real Madrid if that was their season and they only finished on that amount of points. He'd be put under pressure probably 2 weeks into the job if he hadn't won his first game, 3 weeks into the job. And like I said, it's not really a job that he's gonna. I don't think he'd get £11 million a year from Real Madrid. I just think financially they're not in a situation to offer a manager that. Or certainly, again, if he was to get a shitload of money for him personally in his contract, he wouldn't get a massive transfer budget. He wouldn't get a massive transfer kitty because, again, Real Madrid financially are struggling at the moment. So there's a lot of things that the Real Madrid job would bring that go against what Carlo Ancelotti has said on a number of occasions this season or last season to the same press conferences where he's talked about liking that lifestyle of living in Liverpool. He said it a couple of weeks ago and everyone laughed. He was asked the question, do you prefer the Gran Canal or Crosby Beach? And he said, Crosby Beach, all day, because Crosby Beach suits my life. This is what he said, Crosby Beach suits my lifestyle more. It's chilled. I can walk along Crosby Beach and not get recognised. I can walk along with my wife. I can ride along it on the bike. I can go from Crosby to Southport and it can be a nice day and I'll go out and I won't get pestered. You walk along the Grand Canal and because there's thousands of people there, you're stopped every 5 seconds, and that's not what I want as a 60-odd-year-old man. I'm paraphrasing slightly there, but he said something along the lines of, I don't want that attention. I just want to be left alone when I'm out, and that's fair enough. Carlo Ancelotti goes to Madrid, big city like Madrid, constant people, constant eyes on him. He'd be the biggest figure in Madrid, let's be honest. He's not going to get left alone, is he, walking down the high street? He's not going to be able to ride his bike down the local, I don't even know if they have beaches in Madrid, but down the local, I don't know, promenade or something. He constantly gets stopped. And if he's not doing a good job, he'd probably get, again, I don't want to I know there'll probably be some Real Madrid fans watching and I don't want to offend anyone, but, I remember when Gareth Bale had a bad couple of games and he was getting screamed at outside the training ground. You've seen it on a number of, I think Sergio Ramos got it after the Champions League semi-final loss where he had fans screaming at him, and that's their captain. He's been there for decades. He's won everything with that football club. He's dedicated his entire career to that football club, and because they've lost the semi-final, the fans are having a go at him. So if Carlo Ancelotti turns up at Real Madrid, and I don't know what their equivalent would be, to losing against Sheffield United at home when they've already been relegated, he won't be able to walk down the street and just get, can I have a picture, Carlo, shaking hands. He'd probably get stick left, right and centre. He'd probably get people saying, you're not good enough, you need to leave, this, that and the other, you're this, you're that and the other. Now, if Carlo Ancelotti walked down Crosby Beach now, for as much as some Everton fans might be thinking, bloody hell, he needs to step his game up here, we had an awful season last season, if you went up and said something to him, you'd probably shake his hand and go, Carlo, can I have a picture, nice one, mate, keep going, you boss, this, that and the other. Even if we were thinking in the back of our minds, we need to improve, we're not that great, you wouldn't go up and say that to him because, again, I'd like to think that Scousers have a different sort of mentality to a lot of other people. And I don't know, I just like to think we're nicer people, or certainly, that live around the area that Carlo might bump into. So, I really, really don't think that the Real Madrid job suits Carlo Ancelotti whatsoever. Does it suit him footballing wise? Maybe, because he's, again, like I said, he's going to one of the biggest football clubs in the world. He's going to work with, again, some of the biggest superstars in the world, and again, he'd be playing in the Champions League, and it wouldn't be as much of a project. Carlo Ancelotti went to Real Madrid, let's not get it twisted, he'd only be there for 12 months. He would only be there for 12 months. He'd go there, he'd stabilise the club for a year, might win in the league, might win in the Champions League, whatever it might be, and then he'd go. You know, he'd be rushed out the door, and then bring in a younger manager to sort of take on that reign from Carlo after he stabilised that football club. He wouldn't be there for any more than 12 months. Now, Carlo might think, right, okay, I can get out of Everton, who are, you know, the squad and the team is just nowhere near good enough. I can go to Real Madrid, I can get a massive payday, I can do 12 months there, and then I can retire. And I can say, I just wanted to leave Everton because maybe football isn't right for me at the moment. I don't know. Again, I'm throwing different thoughts and opinions out there. But I honestly, in my heart, and maybe this is blind bias because I'm an Evertonian and I don't want it to happen, but I honestly think that Carlo Ancelotti would look at the Real Madrid job and go, do you know what? For all the positives of managing Real Madrid and them being the biggest football club in the world and this, that, the other, there's just too many negatives to the situation. I don't need the stress, I don't need the pressure, I don't need the light. But then again, Carlo come out a couple of weeks ago and said managers thrive under pressure and managers need that type of pressure. So maybe Carlo doesn't believe there's enough pressure on him at Everton. Maybe he wants more meetings with the board with them saying that's not good enough, you need to improve. Maybe he likes that about football, maybe he likes that sort of pressure down his neck. Let's be honest, he's worked at some of the biggest clubs in world football. He's worked at some of the most notoriously what's the word I'm looking for? Notoriously, you know, sort of don't take any crap clubs in terms of if you're not performing well, they'll get rid of you. Your Chelsea's, your Real Madrid's, etc. If you're not performing there, you'll go. It doesn't matter who you are, what your pedigree is, what you've won. If you're not doing what the board want you to do and the owners want you to do, you'll go. And maybe Ancelotti likes that, but I just think with everything that he said, and I know that football managers can lie, and I know that footballers can lie, and I know that things can change in 2 weeks and this, that and the other, I get that, but I just think with everything Carlo said throughout the season, not just about what the Real Madrid rumours, forget the quote about the Real Madrid rumours because that was 2 weeks ago before all of these links about him being in talks and this, that and the other. Just look at some of the things Carlo said about living in the city. You know, over the last 12 months, he spoke about how it suits his lifestyle, it's calming, it's cool, he doesn't get sort of, you know, it's not sort of all in your face, and that's what he needs at this point in his life. That's what he needs at this point in his career. He wants it to be calm. He wants to go to work, do his job, come home and be left alone, and rightly so, because he's a human being and that should be the case. He wouldn't get that at Madrid, but nevertheless, it's worrying. It is worrying. Ultimately, as well, what you have to think about is that Carlo, again, has come out and spoke about Everton a number of times throughout the last 12 months and spoke about how happy he is here and how he wants to succeed here and how he wants to build on this team here and he wants to be the Everton manager in 2, 3, 4 years time. Now I get that you might say, well Cam, that's all well and good saying that while nobody's interested in you, but you know, I might sit here and say, oh, I absolutely love I love, I don't know, my computer, it's absolutely boss, it does everything I need to do and it's great and it's brilliant and this, that and the other. But if someone walked in my room with a brand new MacBook, I'd say, nice one mate, put that there and I'll put that to the side. I get all of that, I get it, but I just can't see it happening. What I can see is Real Madrid being interested in Carlo Ancelotti, and that's what worries me arguably more. Is that Carlo might be sitting there in his house chuckling, saying, I've had a phone call from Perez and I've told him I don't want to go. It doesn't suit me lifestyle. I'm not interested. I'm happy here and I want to remain here. And Florentino Perez might have gone, brilliant, yeah, Sam, that's no problem, mate. Thank you very much. Put the phone down. And then phoned somebody in the media and gone, right, get it all over your back pages next week that we're in talks with Ancelotti and that he's happy to join as the next manager, just to put the feeler out for other managers to think, actually, do you know what, maybe this is a big opportunity for me, I'll step forward. And then maybe your Conte, who might be a little bit iffy, if he might go, actually, do you know what, no, I'll have the job, I'll get paid however much money, I'll have a small budget because I want to manage Real Madrid. You don't know how these big football clubs and organisations work. If one thing we've known from the last 5-6 weeks is that Florentino Perez is not a very nice man, let's be honest, and ultimately he's not a man who particularly cares about what anybody else thinks. He's not a man who particularly cares about what people think of him or people think of his ideas. If Florentino Perez wants something, he'll go out and get it, whether people like it or not, or he'll certainly go out and attempt to get it, whether people like it or not. And I honestly do believe that Florentino Perez will want Carlo Ancelotti as the Real Madrid manager. Whether it will happen or not is a completely different question, but I think he'll want that. I do, because I think Carlo's the easy option for Real Madrid. He's a safe option, and ultimately he's a manager who's been there before, won trophies there before, and would almost be guaranteed to go in and just stabilise them for 12 months and then leave. But I just don't think that suits Carlo Ancelotti whatsoever. He's signed to Everton because he's wanted the job where he's got something to work on, he's got a project to work on, he's got something to sort of, Carlo Ancelotti, let's not make any mistake, by the way. And I'm not just saying this because I'm an Evertonian, and I know a lot of people are Evertonians in the comments. If you're watching, by the way, and you're enjoying, please do hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share this team. It means a massive amount to me. We will get in the live comments in a moment. But let's not get it twisted. And again, I'm not just saying this because I'm an Evertonian. But if Carlo Ancelotti succeeds at Everton, let's say Carlo Ancelotti wins a trophy at Everton, or takes Everton into the Champions League, or takes Everton to a team that are challenging for the league title, that would be Carlo Ancelotti's biggest achievement, certainly in his recent career. Bigger than winning the Champions League with Real Madrid, bigger than winning the league with Chelsea, bigger than winning the Champions League and the league with Bayern Munich. That would be Carlo Ancelotti's biggest achievement. Now, Carlo might sit there and say, no, it's not. I've won Champions Leagues, I've won leagues. Winning a FA Cup with Everton isn't my biggest achievement whatsoever. But when you consider the quality of the teams that Carlo and the players that Carlo Ancelotti has managed previously at those clubs, and then you consider the dire of what Everton's squad is, and a lot of Everton's team is at the moment, if we win anything, or if we get anywhere near qualification for Champions League, or we win the league or whatever, that's his biggest achievement in terms of the quality of player that he's managing. It is. And maybe Carlo Ancelotti, when he joined Everton, thought, no, do you know what? This is a chance for me to prove to myself and maybe other people that I'm not just a manager who can come into ready-made football clubs and, turn world-class players into, players that are winning trophies. I'm not just a manager that comes in and can only work with the very best of the best, or can only work with big budgets and bring in, the best players and then win trophies with the best players. I can go into a team like Everton, who have got a squad that the majority of the squad isn't good enough to be there, and I can either get rid of them players and bring in better and turn Everton into a real sort of challenging team, or I can turn those poor players into good players and turn them into a challenging team. Probably the first, let's be honest, because Carlo, not even fucking Harry Potter would turn our squad into a half decent, the majority of the players anyway. But I honestly do think that's what Carlo Ancelotti wanted when he joined Everton. I think Carlo Ancelotti wanted that project. He wanted that sort of point to prove to himself, maybe, that he can go to a club like Everton Football Club, who haven't been, let's be honest, in terms of trophies, a successful club for 25, 30 years now, and get us back to those glory days. And hopefully that's what Carlo wants, and hopefully Carlo still wants that. But listen, it's worrying. It's worrying when you see your manager being linked with Real Madrid, because again, Real Madrid are a massive, massive powerhouse in regards to football, both on the pitch and off the pitch. Political-wise, in football, Real Madrid are right at the top of that list. And Florentino Perez, for as much as he might be an idiot, and for as much as we might not like him because of what he's done in recent weeks, he knows what he wants, and more often than not, he gets what he wants. And that's my biggest worry with this. Do I think Carlo will leave? No. But it is quite distressing when you're seeing all of the rumours, and when you see him, every one of the Spanish, or most of the Spanish media going, yeah, it's happening. Negotiations are going well. Now, again, this could very much just be Spanish media going, right, we're going to put the feelers out there, we're going to say Ancelotti's nailed on, we'll all join together, all the different radio stations and TV stations, and we'll all zone in on Ancelotti's joining Everton. Ancelotti's joining Madrid, blah, 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 when it's actually not really happening, but that'll just be a sort of a cloud, or a smoke screen for something else, somebody else joining Madrid or whatever. But it's worrying. It really, really is worrying, especially when you look at Everton and you think, we can't really afford to lose Carlo Ancelotti. Anyway, let's get into some of the live comments then. There is other topics to talk about, by the way, today. We will go into them shortly. But enjoying the scene, please do hit that like button. It does only take a second. Let's get into them anyway. George Doherty says, yes, Cam. Yes, George. Says, been waiting for you to go live today about this. Never disappointed you. So nice one, George, mate. Yeah, look, again, it's worrying. I'm not willing to sit here, and some people maybe thought that, look, I've said it before on this channel, and I'll say it again, and for any new subscribers, by the way, if you could hit that subscribe button, it would mean a great deal to me. We're about 60 off 4K now. If we could hit 4K before the start of next season, that would be massive. So please do subscribe if you're new. But I've said it a number of times before. I don't know anything that nobody else knows. I don't get inside information from the club. I don't know anybody at the football club. I don't know anything that Ian, Leanne, Sean, Martin, Eugene, EFG Graphics, George, Stewie, I don't know anything that you don't know. So everything that I say is just my opinion and going off my sort of thought process with the various different topics we talk about on this channel. I don't know anything. I can't come here and categorically say, yeah, Ancelotti's going to Real Madrid. I know it because I've been told, because I don't know that. And as well as that, I'm not willing to sit here and say he's not going. I can sit here and say I don't think he's going to go, and I don't think he'll go, because I just don't think that job suits him at this moment, at this current stage of his career. I think Everton suits him a lot more. But again, football, I said it the other day when we talked about transfer rumours. I've known situations where footballers have been ready to sign on the dotted line for a football club, had a phone call saying, so-and-so already are willing to offer you a couple of £1 million more for you signing on fee, and they put the pen down and pissed off and gone and signed for the other football club. So I can't sit here and say, yeah, Ancelotti will never go to Real Madrid, because if he turns down 2 weeks in 2 weeks and he's signed for Real Madrid, then everyone comes to me and goes, well, you said it wasn't going to happen, Cam, what's going on there? Ultimately, I don't know. I don't know that, and nobody knows that at the moment. And, you know, the club haven't come out and said anything, and Carlo hasn't come out and said anything, and it's mad, isn't it? Because this could very well be listen, there's two ways this could go. We could be sitting here talking about a very real situation, and Carlo Ancelotti might very really be sitting down with his family or with Everton at the moment saying, I want to go to Real Madrid, this is where I want to go, and can we make this happen, blah blah blah. Or Carlo could be sitting there with his feet up laughing, going, it's never going to happen. And Florentino Perez might be going, we know Carlo's not coming back, but we're going to make out like he is, and we're going to make everybody think that he is, to make the smoke screen behind bringing in this manager behind the scenes or whatever. And we ultimately, as fans, we don't know which way it is. We don't. I can sit here and say I don't want Carlo to go and I don't think he will go, but I can't be 100% that that's not going to happen. I'm quite confident it won't happen, but that's only because of my personal opinion. That's not because I know anything that nobody else knows. I don't. Eugene says Everton linked with ex-Chelsea forward. Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a moment. Still interested in Koulibaly as well. Apparently so. Stewie says, alright, Cam. Alright, Stewie. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Moza says, alright, Cam. Morning, everyone. Morning, Moza. Eve Elliott says, who and when do you think our first signing will be? I think it'll be a right back. And as for when it'll be, I don't know. Probably the transfer window opens this week, is it? Or next week? Probably July time. Probably first week of July, I'd guess. And again, that's not because I know anything that nobody else does. That's just because Everton typically don't do their business very early on. Judge says if he leaves, should we bring in Bielsa or Nuno? Mozza says Nuno for me, get Neto too. And Jason says, alright, Cam, don't want him to go, but if he does, you would want it sooner rather than later so everybody gets a pre-season. Yeah, I don't really want Nuno Espirito Santo, to be honest with you. I think he's a good manager, but I just don't massively rate him, to be honest. And I don't really want Marco Bielsa as well. And I don't think Marco Bielsa would come to Everton. And again, I think he's a decent manager, but I just don't want Marco Bielsa at Everton. I really, really don't. Who I'd want to replace Carlo? I don't even want to think about it, to be honest, because I just don't want to believe that this situation is true. For as much as it might be true, I just don't want to believe it. So I can't even think of replacements until Carlo leaves, and then we have to think about replacements. But I'm still firmly in my heart, I don't think he'll leave. Liam brings up a good point. Spanish media is controlled by Perez in Madrid. It's usually bollocks. Yeah. You know, again, it is. Don't get me wrong. What we saw last night was pretty much every Spanish media outlet coming out and almost being convinced that Carlo's going to Real Madrid. Now, you might look at that in terms of saying, well, if they're convinced, then surely that means they know something that we don't know. Or you could look at that and go, well, maybe they're just being fed information by Real Madrid as to say that we're not actually after Carlo Ancelotti, but if you tell everybody we're after Carlo Ancelotti, then that'll make a massive smoke screen for bringing Raul in or bringing Pochettino in or whatever, whoever it might be, bringing Conte in. So, again, like I said, politics, football politics, they're a real thing. They are a real thing, and ultimately, you know, it's never just what it seems when you read it. It's never that. Niall says I'd go for Bielsa rather than Nuno. Boo says Ancelotti to Real Madrid, yes. I don't think it'll happen, but they're the rumours, mate. Moise says, I just think Emery would suit us. Arsenal are just pants. Jason says, why would Bielsa leave Leeds? That says Zidane. Moise says he wouldn't. Warzone says, I don't think he would go because winning the league with Real Madrid, he's been there, done that. Building a club like Everton is to the top again. That's a bigger achievement. I'd agree, mate. I'd agree. Nal says, I'm not saying Bielsa would come to us, just saying I'd rather him than Nuno. Warzone 1 says, there's also a possibility that Real Madrid be kicked out of Europe next season. Well, yeah, again, you know, Carlo come out. Steve says, afternoon to you, mate, from the Philippines, loving the site. Thank you very much, Steve. Really do appreciate that, my friend, honestly. Carlo come out and expressed his disgust at the Super League, didn't he, a couple of weeks ago? Florentino Perez created the Super League and is still to this day a massive believer of the Super League, so there's already a conflict between the two you know, individuals about something regarding football. Chris says, morning Cam, mate, hope you're well. I'm not too bad, mate, hope you're doing well yourself. Moise says, me too, if he would leave. Chris says, if Carlo went to Real, he'd be a stopgap and gone in a year. That's how they work. No doubt about that, by the way. Carlo Ancelotti goes to Real Madrid this time in 12 months, he ain't there. He's not there, he's being moved on, and he'll know that. He'll know that if he went to Real Madrid, he wouldn't be there in 12. There you go. We're back, I think. Reconnection successful. Apologies about that. The odd freeze. It happens. It happens on these streams, but we're back. We are back. Now says, anyone else frozen? Eugene says it's frozen now, Cam. We should be back now. We should be all back and well and good. Like I said, if you're enjoying, please do leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and don't forget to share the stream as well if you could. That would mean a massive deal to me as well. If you like I said, if you're new and you haven't already subscribed, please do so. We're flying towards 4k subscribers now, so it would mean a great, gigantic deal for me. Leanne says, I want to punch your PC in the boobs. Yeah, same, mate. It just says back. Kev says frozen. Now says Conte and Lukaku. No, I honestly can't think of replacements for Ancelotti because I don't want to believe it too. And Everton Rose is in the comments. What's happening, Rose? She says, I don't think I've just made a video on this log. Go over to Rose's channel after the stream and check out that video. Go and show her support. Absolutely boss channel. I agree, Rose. I don't think he'll leave. I don't. It is worrying because Real Madrid are a big powerhouse of a football club politically, behind the scenes of football and on the pitch as well, but I just don't think it'll happen. Personally, I don't. So just to summarise, I can't see Carlo Ancelotti going to Real Madrid personally. Do I think it's out the realms of possibility? No, I don't think it's out the realms of possibility. Would I be unbelievably surprised and shocked and, you know, speechless if he did go to Real Madrid? No, I wouldn't, because like I said, in football in this day and age, nothing should surprise us. Nothing absolutely should surprise us. That, you know, whether it be players moving to different clubs, whether it be managers moving to different clubs, nothing should surprise us in football in this day and age. Do I think it will happen? Honestly, I don't. And again, I'm purely saying that off the back of my own opinion, my own thought process. I really don't think it'll happen. I don't think the Real Madrid job suits Carlo Ancelotti's lifestyle. I don't think the Real Madrid job suits what Carlo Ancelotti wants at this point in his career. I don't think he'd get as much backing as he does at Everton financially. He probably wouldn't get as much in terms of his wage than he does at Everton. He's getting £11 million a year at Everton Football Club. He'd certainly be under a lot more pressure by Real Madrid's board, by their media and by their fans, by the way. You know, we might sit here and question Carlo Ancelotti's tactics and question Carlo Ancelotti's decisions, but let's be honest, the majority of us sit here and go, we don't want him sacked. We know he can improve, but we don't want him sacked. But yeah, I just don't see it happening. What I see this is Real Madrid having a little word with pretty much every Spanish media source and publication and saying, look, we need a new manager. Carlo isn't coming, but we need a smoke screen for whoever is coming. So put the word out there, put the feelers out there about Carlo Ancelotti, let that settle in everybody's mind, and then we'll bring in, you know, X, Y, or Z to come in and do the job instead. But like I said, I can't be certain that Carlo doesn't want to move to Real Madrid. I can't be certain about that. I think we'll be sitting here in 2 or 3 weeks laughing at those rumours and going, remember that time when Real Madrid thought they were getting Carlo because they'll have already brought somebody else in, and that'll be it then. It'll all fade away. But It's worrying. It's really, really worrying because Real Madrid and Florentino Perez, Real Madrid are a very powerful club and Florentino Perez is a very, very powerful man in football, and typically what Florentino Perez wants he gets, other than the Super League, and hopefully not Carlo either. But let's be honest, who knows? Hopefully it's not. Hopefully Carlo Ancelotti laughs at these rumours and says, no, I want to stay at Everton. It's a nonsense. I don't want to go there. But look, ultimately, again, the Spanish media and Real Madrid will put the feelers out as to sort of gauge what their fans want, and a lot of Real Madrid fans yesterday seem to want Ancelotti back, which is mad considering some of our fans think he's washed up and negative and this, that and the other. Well, Real Madrid, who are one of the biggest clubs in the world, want him back, so maybe we are lucky to have him. I think we are. But ultimately, again, let's just hope that there's nothing in this other than just a smokescreen for somebody else. Let's just hope that, because I really, really don't want Carlo Ancelotti to leave the football club. Of course I don't. But it is slightly worrying, isn't it? It really, really is slightly worrying. Anyway, let's get into some other transfer rumours that were thrown about yesterday that aren't regarding our manager, luckily enough. Firstly, according to Calcio Mercato, who linked Carlo with a move back to Real Madrid earlier on, we spoke about that. They have said yesterday that Everton is said to be interested in 33-year-old Roma winger Pedro. The Spanish winger has 2 years left on his contract, and Everton is said to be keen on the player. No, basically, I don't even think I need to say more than that. No, just really, no, and no. I don't want Pedro. He's 33 years old. He was finished at Chelsea. He's exactly the profile of player that Everton don't need and shouldn't be going after. I don't think we will be going after him either. I just don't think there's much in this rumour whatsoever. But just no. Next one is coming from Fabrizio Romano, said that Moise Kean has been excluded from Italy's squad for Euro 2020. PSG is still negotiating with Everton to sign Kean after his loan spell. Everton are open to sell him. So there you go, Moise Kean has been excluded from Italy's team for the upcoming Euro tournament. Why? I don't know, maybe he was just, maybe they had to, trim down the squad a little bit, and Moise Kean was a name that sort of had to make way. There's a potential that that's the case, that's the situation, but again, no surprise there that PSG are still trying to negotiate a deal with Everton, no surprise whatsoever. And then this one coming from Le Temps Sport, who were a French publication, I believe, who said that PSG is said to be monitoring Everton left-back Luca Digne. PSG are wanting to strengthen their left-back position. Now again, this is slightly worrying because, PSG ultimately are, again, a massive club in football. Ultimately, the again, have got massive pulling power. Luca Digne obviously has played for PSG previously, earlier on in his career. Do I think Luca Digne would go to PSG? I don't, to be honest. Again, it's difficult because Luca Digne's at that stage in his career now where he's 26, 27 years old, and he might look at it and think, do you know what, I'm not going to have much longer left to play at the highest level. I don't see Everton being in the Champions League within the next 2 years. That would take me to 29, 30 years old. I'm going to go while I can. He's obviously just signed a new contract with Everton. He spoke about Everton being like a marriage and it being like a wedding and it being perfect and that relationship being perfect between Everton and the player, and that's all well and good. But again, like I said, in football, a lot of things can change in the space of 24 hours, and if PSG are genuinely interested in Luca Digne, then maybe Luca Digne will look at that and think, this may be the right move for me in my career, especially if he's going to be going there and starting week in, week out, because he'd win leagues, he'd get, far in the Champions League, and like I said, he'd be starting week in, week out, back over in France, of course, his home country. But to be honest, I don't see this one being particularly true, to be honest with you. I think PSG would go after a younger alternative to Digne, and I just don't see Luca Digne leaving in the summer. I really, really don't. But again, who knows? Ultimately, who knows? We don't know for certain. In the same way as we don't know anything for certain about Carlo, we don't know for certain about Luca Digne. And then the last one is actually, it's not a rumour, it's actually a statement, or should I say a quote that was taken from Everton's medical consultant and lead. I think let me get his official title up, because I want to do Dan justice, because Dan's a really, really good fella and good good lad. Director of Medical Danny Donacci. I usually absolutely butcher that name, but Everton's director of medical, Danny Donacci, has come out and had a little bit of a word on James Rodriguez. Obviously, after James was excluded or dismissed from the Colombia squad for Copa America and Colombia's upcoming FIFA World Cup qualifiers. There was rumours there was the reason for that is because he wasn't deemed fit enough to compete. He wasn't deemed at the optimal level of fitness. James come out himself and released a statement later on in the night, basically saying that he doesn't know why he was fit and he felt like he could have, made an impact on the team. And Dan Donacci has come out and said that it was a very small injury at the end of the season and we had no issues at all with James joining up with Colombia. There was no way he could be involved in the final 2 games. James will be back with us on July the 5th and ready for a full pre-season. So there you go. Again, basically Everton coming out there and saying, don't blame us. When we allowed James to leave and return to Colombia, he was in a good enough state to play. He was in a good enough state to be fit enough to play. And, if Colombia have made that decision that James isn't fit enough, that's their decision. That's their, ultimately they've made that choice. Everton haven't. Everton have believed that he was fit enough to play and fit enough to go and do a job for Colombia. So interesting that Everton are coming out and having their opinion. Interesting that Everton are coming out and having their say on the James situation, really. Obviously after James come out himself and said it, and obviously Colombia have come out themselves and said it as well. Just hearing stuff about the England squad there. But yeah, look, ultimately, again, I said it on Friday. We done a separate video on Friday about it. It's unfortunate for James. It really, really is unfortunate for James because I'd love for James to have played for Colombia this summer because that's what he wants. That's what he lives for. He lives to play for his country. He lives to impress for his country. But ultimately, if they've deemed him not fit enough to do that at a good enough level, then that's their choice, isn't it? And that's their decision. And they have to be able to live with that. And whether they do well in the Copa America or not, they have to be able to live with that. Sol says, finally, Everton sticking up for themselves. Well done to our medical team. Well, yeah, Everton have practically come out and gone, hang on, don't blame us. When we allowed James to leave, he was in a fit and optimal condition to play, and we believed he was fit enough to go and play for Colombia. So don't be putting it on us. If you want to determine that yourself, then that's your decision. But when as far as we were concerned, he had a small injury and he'd have been recovered in well enough time to play in the Copa America. So that's the situation, and Everton have stuck up for themselves. But yeah, look, obviously the main story today was about Carlo Ancelotti, and listen, I know we've done news videos over the last couple of days or so. Manuel says kick Reza please. What's he saying? Everton is a joke, mediocre. Just whatever. Just don't know. Maybe he's a Real Madrid fan who really wants Ancelotti, and we're sitting here saying he's not going. But no, look, I know we've had a couple of news streams over the last couple of days or so. We will be continuing our season review, hopefully tomorrow, unless another massive news story comes out. And we're going to be talking about Ben Godfrey tomorrow and how well Ben Godfrey's done and just how good of a footballer Ben Godfrey is. We're going to be talking about Dominic Calvert-Lewin over the next coming days, Richarlison as well, and then obviously we'll continue to keep everybody up to date with all of the latest Everton news and stuff like that. So, again, in terms of the Carlo Ancelotti situation, which is of course the biggest story of the day, I don't think Carlo Ancelotti will go to Real Madrid. Personally, that's just my personal opinion. I don't know anything that anybody else doesn't know. I just don't think Carlo Ancelotti will go to Real Madrid. Would it be out the realms of possibility for him to go to Real Madrid? No. Would I be unbelievably surprised and shocked and speechless? No. But I just don't think it'll happen. I really, really don't think it'll happen. And again, like I said, I'm not willing to sit here and say it's not happening because it might, and I'm not willing to sit here and say it is happening because it mightn't. But one thing I would say is Real Madrid are very good at basically telling the Spanish media what they want them to put out and what they don't want them to put out. And, ultimately, again, I think Carlo's settled here. I think Carlo's happy, and I don't think Carlo's going anywhere. But let's hope that that's the case. I'm sure we'll hear a lot more about that today, tomorrow, and over the next coming days. And obviously, we'll be bringing you the latest Everton news as and when it breaks. So don't forget, if you haven't subscribed already, please do so. We're aiming to hit that 4,000 subscriber mark before the start of next season. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to hit that like button as well. If you've enjoyed this one, please do hit that like button. Massive thanks to everybody in the live comments. Really, really do appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, like I said, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you're watching the YouTube video, leave your thoughts in the comment section below, and we'll get involved with as many of them as we possibly can as well. Massive, massive thank you for watching. We'll be back tomorrow morning, hopefully, with another live stream. We'll hopefully be talking about Ben Godfrey, so don't forget to join us for that one as well. But massive, massive thank you for watching. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Massive thanks to everybody in the live comments. And yeah, leave a like if you've enjoyed, and we'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues.